Okay, we've all done it. We've all poured a nice glass of red wine, held it up to the light, and swirled it thoughtfully. But have you ever actually stopped to wonder about the completely fascinating, hidden chemical life happening right there inside your glass? Well, in today's explainer, we are taking a deep dive into the actual science of wine stabilization and colorant matter. We're going to unpack the exact epic molecular mechanics that take a simple, everyday grape and transform it into such a complex, evolving beverage. It's a pretty wild ride.
I mean, think about a perfect, vibrant pour of red wine. You've got that deep, rich ruby, those gorgeous purple hues catching the ambient light. It's absolutely beautiful. But here's one of the best-kept secrets of the winemaking world. That brilliant color, it is incredibly fragile. The molecules that are responsible for those deep reds and vibrant blues are highly sensitive to their environment. If they were just left entirely to their own devices, they'd degrade, oxidize, and just kind of fade away into these dull brownish tones over time. Honestly, the fact that the color survives at all is a microscopic miracle.
So that naturally leads us to our core question. What exactly gives red wine its vibrant, long-lasting color? To answer this, we really need to introduce you to our hero molecule, the anthocyanin. Over the next few minutes, we're going to follow this tiny hero on what is literally a perilous, multi-stage journey. We're talking a journey fraught with the dangers of oxidation, extreme temperatures, and really harsh chemical environments. We'll track it from its birth out in the sun-drenched vineyard, straight through the violent crucible of the winery, all the way to its final highly stable form resting right there in your glass.
To make sense of all this, we'll follow a quick, four-step roadmap today. First, the origin of wine's color. Second, extracting color from grapes. Third, the anthocyanin-tannin bond. And finally, the magic of co-pigmentation.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Origin of Wine's Color, and the birth of our anthocyanins.
So where exactly is our hero molecule born? Well, the pigments giving us those brilliant reds and blues are called anthocyanins. The word itself comes from ancient Greek, and it translates beautifully to blue flower. But here's the crazy part. In standard red grape varieties, these pigments do not live in the juice. The juice inside the grape is actually completely clear. Instead, these anthocyanins are born and stored exclusively in the outer 3 to 4 microscopic cell layers of the grape skin. As the grape ripens on the vine, that delicate outer skin undergoes a massive visual transformation.
And this transformation isn't random. It is triggered by a highly precise, heavily regulated biological timeline. Over a period of weeks, the hard green grape starts dropping its harsh organic acids, while at the same time packing in sweet sugars. Now, because those internal acids are dropping, the pH level within the plant tissues naturally rises, usually hitting a magic sweet spot right around 3 to 3.5. That specific pH shift, that's the master key. It signals the cellular machinery to wake up, activating a crucial enzyme called PAL, phenylalanine ammonia lyase. Once PAL is activated, it goes straight to work, converting basic amino acids into cinnamic acid, which eventually builds our hero molecule, the anthocyanin.
But here is something wild. The plant doesn't produce these gorgeous pigments just to give us a pretty glass of wine. Sunlight, specifically intense UV radiation, actually acts as a severe stressor to the grape. In response to this environmental stress, the grape ramps up that PAL enzyme to produce more anthocyanins. That's right, the beautiful deep ruby color in your wine originally started out as the grape's natural sunscreen. It's a defense mechanism designed to protect the fragile seeds inside from radiation damage. How cool is that? But nature is picky, and it requires a total Goldilocks environment for this to happen perfectly. Cooler nighttime temperatures actually favor this pigment accumulation, which allows the grape to build up those intense, rich colors. Extreme heat, on the other hand, is a disaster. It isn't just a minor setback. It can violently deactivate key enzymes like PAL altogether. If it gets too hot, the synthesis just shuts down, stopping our hero molecule from ever even being born. It's an incredibly delicate balance, perfectly orchestrated out in the vineyard.
Moving on to Section 2, Extracting Color from Grapes, otherwise known as the maceration crucible.
Once the grape is successfully harvested, those anthocyanins have to somehow get out of those 3 or 4 microscopic cell layers on the outside and into the clear juice on the inside. This happens during a process called maceration. And guys, it is a literal crucible. The grapes are crushed and the skins are left to soak in the juice. Winemakers have to carefully manipulate a whole host of variables to pull this off without totally destroying the wine. They're controlling the temperature, ideally keeping it warm enough to extract color, usually between 20 and 32 degrees Celsius, but not so hot that it cooks the wine.
They use precise additions of sulfur dioxide, acting as a solvent to degrade those tough grape skin structures. They're dialing in the duration of skin contact, the ratio of solid skins to liquid juice, and how often they pump over, which is when they take juice from the bottom of the tank and violently splash it over the top layer of skins to physically break them up. It is an intense, incredibly chaotic process for our little molecule.
Now, some winemakers use a really clever trick called pre-fermentation cold maceration. By holding the crushed grapes at a very low temperature, like almost freezing, before the alcohol fermentation even has a chance to start, they can gently and gradually coax those anthocyanins right out of the skins. This early slow-motion extraction in an alcohol-free environment massively improves the color stability later on down the line. It's kind of a brilliant winemaker cheat code.
Which brings us to Section 3, the anthocyanin-tannin bond, or finding an ally.
Okay, so our hero has survived the extraction process and is now floating out in the open mustapi. But it's in trouble. It's highly vulnerable. In this state, it is wildly susceptible to being destroyed by oxygen. Enter the tannin. This initiates the ultimate chemical dance known as condensation. This is the absolutely critical chemical reaction where our vulnerable anthocyanin binds its carbonyl groups with the hydroxyl groups of a tannin molecule. Through a combination of hydrogen bonds and van der Waals forces, they lock together to form much larger, highly stable chemical complexes. Together, bonded as one, they are infinitely stronger than they were apart. But this chemical dance requires absolute, perfect balance in the winemaking process. If a wine has a massive excess of anthocyanins, but just not enough tannins to partner them with, those lonely, unbonded anthocyanins simply oxidize. They irreversibly morph into colorless phenols, completely destroying the wine's color potential. On the flip side, if you have way too many tannins and not enough anthocyanins, the excess tannins essentially get bored and condense with each other. This creates muddy yellow tones and, worst of all, a terribly harsh, mouth-drying, bitter taste. It literally has to be a perfect molecular match.
So you might be wondering, how do they actually find each other in the chaotic, swirling environment of a massive fermentation tank? Well, chemistry, specifically the pH of the medium. An acidic environment is absolutely essential because it gives the anthocyanins a positive electrical charge while giving the tannins a negative charge. They literally become magnetically attracted to one another. Opposites attract, right? Over the course of fermentation, this opposite charge magnetism physically pulls them across the microscopic divide, drawing them into that life-saving bond.
And finally, we arrive at Section 4, the magic of co-pigmentation and the building of molecular communities.
Now for the grand finale. Have you ever noticed how a really young red wine almost looks neon purple, or sometimes flashes brilliant blue right at the edges of the glass? That striking visual is due to what science calls the bathochromic effect. It's a specific shift in the wavelength of maximum light absorbance, pushing the hue toward deeper purple and blue tones. And this magical shift happens entirely because of a phenomenon known as co-pigmentation.
During co-pigmentation, our newly bonded anthocyanins don't just stop at finding one tannin partner. Oh no, they start stacking together with other organic molecules floating around in the wine, like cinnamonic acids or flavanols. They arrange themselves into what is essentially a microscopic, multi-layered molecular sandwich. Think of it like a stack of pancakes. They stack perfectly flat on top of one another, held together by chemical forces, literally forming a physical shield around that fragile color core. The benefits of this elaborate molecular stacking are just staggering, and they literally define the aging potential of a great red wine. First, you get the hyperchromic effect. This means the molecular sandwich actually absorbs significantly more light than a single molecule would, making the color appear far brighter and more intense to our eyes. Second, as we just mentioned, you get that bathochromic shift to those gorgeous, vibrant purple and blue hues. And third, you get a massive long-term increase in color stability. By hiding deep inside this molecular community, the fragile pigments are physically protected from degrading over the course of months, years, and even decades.
I really want to leave you with a crucial quote from our source material on this process. The formation of anthocyanin-tannin complexes is a dynamic and reversible equilibrium. Think about the gravity of that for a second. This molecular sandwich isn't poured in concrete. It is a living, breathing chemical balance. As the wine rests in an oak barrel or slumbers in a glass bottle in a dark cellar, these microscopic molecules are constantly binding, breaking apart, shifting, and evolving. The color literally breathes and ages in tandem with the wine itself.
So we return to the glass. We followed our hero from a sun-stressed grape skin out in the vineyard, through the violent crucible of the crusher, watched it find a magnetic tannin partner to survive oxidation, and finally witnessed it build a protective molecular sandwich to preserve its vibrant life. I have to ask, next time you pour a glass of red, will you just see a beverage, or will you taste the epic chemical history resting inside? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep swirling, and I'll see you next time.